Welcome everybody to another one of our StemWave live Q&As, where we get to talk to some of our successful providers that have seen a lot of really great results with StemWave, with their patients, with how their clinic is performing. And today's no different. Today we have a really great guest. We've got Scott Lamb coming from San Jose, and he's got a clinic up there. He's been a StemWave provider for about a year now. So I want to welcome you, Scott. Welcome to the Q&A.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate the invitation to come here.
Yeah. So what I love to do is give people an idea because we have providers that have all different types of backgrounds. I would love for you to share a little bit about how you got started in your practice, and like what your background's like.
Yeah, so you're talking about like the beginning of my practice
Yeah.
and how I got that all started. So my my start actually was pretty selfish. It was for helping out my problems. I had a lot of joint issues. I was an athlete, and I was a Division I football player. And once my career ended, when I turned, gosh, what was I? I was 23, and I had my first back spasm that laid me up in bed for like a week, just because I bent over to pick something off the ground, you know. And that was kind of like the start of about a 10-year process of my body just starting to fall apart. Okay. And as I started trying to go to experts and trying to get help, I was learning and becoming more educated and trying to figure out how I can help myself. Right. And then eventually I started learning about neuromuscular reeducation and how to eliminate the compensations that are going on in people's bodies. You know, everyone's going to compensate somehow, some way. The problem is if you can't get out of those compensations. And so I started learning about how to do that and how to treat myself and others on how to do that. And when I figured that out, it was a pretty big game-changing moment. And so then I turned my entire, you know, exercise and fitness business completely different to just that. And so now the only thing I do now is I just work with chronic joint issues, whether it's degenerative disc disease, arthritis, SI joint pain, shoulder issues, whatever the problem is. That's what I work on.
It's so interesting because as we do these Q&As, I talk to providers and ask them about their backgrounds, and you'd be surprised how many got into their field of medicine because of their own personal either injuries or pain or some sort of issue they were having. It's interesting to find out that you're no different, especially being a college football player. I'm sure you have some some injuries that are still lingering around.
Yeah, if I'm not careful, I can feel myself wanting to recompensate again, right? My body wants to go back to that default pattern, right? So you just have to always make things stronger and make things better.
And isn't it always the case? It's like just bending over to pick up something or stretching when you first wake up. That's when something gets
Mhm.
whack. It's not anything too crazy. It's like the little things. So when you started your practice and you were dealing with, like you said, joint pain, joint injuries, what sort of treatments were you offering?
So with that, I was doing is called muscle activation techniques. Some of the people might be aware of it. It's just a really thorough assessment tool to just understand how the movement patterns are moving, and then just reconnecting those movement patterns for the body, along with specific exercises and mobility drills, things like that. That's kind of the gist of what my practice was, and it was going really well. It was people were seeing results. Um, a lot of people were getting healthier and better.
And what kind of injuries or issues were you seeing with your patients at that time?
Um, so anything and everything really. A lot of foot issues. A lot of foot issues. A lot of back issues. I mean, sciatic issues. Like I said, degenerative disc disease. Meniscus injuries. Um, neck issues. Stenosis issues. Just you know
The whole
e-
range.
everything.
Yeah.
I mean, just everything, right? And
Yeah.
so my thought process is if we can make the muscles if we can make the body more stable and we can make the body stronger, then you'll feel better. You know, your muscles are designed to help decompress the joints, right? And if they're not doing that, it's because something else something's wrong with those muscles.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying. That's what I focused on.
So
That's,
you're seeing this wide range of patients with different
mhm.
issues. You're getting good results with, your own techniques and what you're doing. So then what made you start thinking, I think it might be time to bring in like a modality?
Well, it's a funny story about that. Okay. Um, the marketplace actually told me about it. Okay. It wasn't me.
Mm.
I was having good successes, business was good, everything was fine. Okay. But then all of a sudden, last year before I picked up the StemWave device, I started getting a bunch of phone calls asking if I provided some kind of shockwave therapy tool. And I don't have it. It's not on my website. I have no clue, right? And so finally, I talked to someone that was calling me about it, and I said, why are you asking me? I don't even. This isn't on my website. I'm not advertising this at all. And they said, I don't know. You're the number one that jumps up on local Google search. You're the very first person for this for some reason. So the algorithm just drew, people to reach out to me. So I was like, well, there's a lot of people that are looking for this service. So I'm going to start researching it and just seeing, what's this all about. So I started researching it, and I came across StemWave. And as I started doing more research and independent uh, research on myself just to figure out and understand what StemWave is all about. I've learned about other tools. And so I finally just submitted an inquiry. I wanted to learn, from the horse's mouth what StemWave is all about. And so that's what I did,
Wow.
you know?
That's so great to hear. Obviously a lot of people don't even know about StemWave or any of the technology and to know that the public is now becoming educated and they're the ones that are reaching out to providers and saying, "Hey, you need this. I want
Hmm.
this. Can you please get this?" That's really, part of the mission of what we want to do at StemWave is, to change traditional healthcare to make this type of treatment available to anybody. So that's so great to hear. I love knowing that that's the trend where we're going, where your patients are actually bringing it to you. So you reached out for an inquiry. I'm sure you hopped on the phone with a member of our sales team. What was that process like?
It was really easy. It wasn't challenging. It wasn't threatening. It wasn't pressuring. It was I had very specific questions, about the product, about the service, your guys' recommendations on just, you know, everything, fees, marketing, just, all the different aspects of this tool. And the salesperson, I can't remember his name, but he did a great job and was very patient with me and answered all my questions. I didn't have a ton. I'm very absolute, straight to the facts, straight to the point, and I just want to know these things. Then I report it to my wife, and then she tells me all the things that I didn't think of, and then I go back. and so, and that's how it goes. Um, and it was a pretty easy process. And they arranged for me to try out the device. We had to drive about a couple hours in order to go up and try the device. And for me, I'm I'm pretty confident in the science, and the science made sense on what it is I read with it. I've experienced a lot of different things, and things worked, but how well. Um, and so the science made sense, especially with your guys' intro offer about just trying it out. And if you don't want it, you just send it back. No harm, no foul, right? So I was convinced, but my wife wasn't. So we drove a couple hours, and I was going to have her just try it out. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't need to try it out. I just want to know what she has to think. And she was extremely skeptical. She didn't think that this was going to be something that could work as well. But I was really into mechanotransduction, and so you guys talking about that with this was, and the fact that it doesn't damage anything around with mechanotransduction, that was like boom for me. Like it was huge. So we go there, and she had this chronic elbow issue, and the practitioner treated her, and it was almost immediate. I mean, like 10, 20 seconds, and she's like, I feel like I just got a brand new elbow. Like it feels like you just replaced the elbow and it's just brand new right now. Can we do the other elbow? And so yeah, we can do the other elbow. So we did that. And that was her only treatment until I finally got mine a few weeks later. But during that entire time, she had no elbow issues at all, which is, from my experience, a little rare. That doesn't happen, all the time, right? But that was her experience. And so she was, as soon as she felt that and had that significant of an impact, she was definitely sold on how much this could help, you know, the people in our community, and also, help our business as well.
Yeah, you just said so many great things. First off, the I want people to know, and you just backed it up. When you talk to our sales team, it is not like what some people imagine it would be like to talk to a sales team for a medical device. Like it's going to be like high pressure, and they're going to like speak in riddles. It's very conversational. It's much like this. We really just want to find out if your practice is right for StemWave. It's a two-way street. And we don't, give StemWave to everybody. We have to make sure that it's going to be right for your practice. And like you said, we do offer that trial period because we believe in the device. We know that we're so confident that this is going to work for you if you're the right candidate, that we're willing to let you use it for a period of time. And if it's not working for you for whatever reason, you can absolutely send it back. You don't have to pay for it. And fun fact, we just increased our trial period to 90 days. It was 60. We feel so confident now, we're going to 90 days. So for anybody that's interested in StemWave, we will let you try it out for 90 days without having to pay for it. And then you're talking about your wife's first interaction with it. And that's my favorite part. I've been fortunate enough to go to a lot of group trainings and different trainings, and watching people's reaction when they've had some sort of chronic pain or injury and they get StemWave for the first time and the immediate release of pain, they almost try to like re-injure themselves to show you,
Mhm.
no, there was an injury here. I swear, like this is crazy. And I've even heard people say, like your wife was saying, um, if they have an injured body part, that feels brand new. And then they're like, well, now my good one feels like my bad one because this one feels so good now. It's wild.
It's kind of mind-boggling, just the results that you get. I mean, just last night I had a new person come in to try the device. She was diabetic neuropathy, and she, has tried different things. Oh, it sounds like something that I've done in the past, and it didn't. I didn't feel a thing. It didn't work. But I was giving her the trial offer that you guys kind of suggest doing, and so I did that. Uh, you know, Side note, before I tell you the rest of that story, I tried doing free intro offers for people to try it out. It was horrible.
Hmm.
As soon as I started charging $49 just to try it out once, it exploded in lead generation and people coming in. Okay, so just a little side note for anybody who's listening. Um, but anyway, she comes in, she tells me her story, and I'm like, well, let's see if it works. The great thing about this tool, it either works or it doesn't, and the probabilities are in your favor that it's going to work. So we try out one foot, and afterwards, she gets up, she walks around, and she's like in shock. Her foot completely feels different. And I go, okay, well, would you like us to do the other foot? She's like, absolutely, yeah, let's do it. So she takes down, we do the other foot. And I'm like, are you interested in scheduling another appointment? Yeah, yeah. When can I be here? When can I come? I'm like, well, I'll see you on Tuesday.
That's
So
great. Yeah, and I
yeah.
think that's a great point to mention too is the proof's in the pudding. I mean, once people get that treatment for the first time and they actually feel the difference, it's really easy to get them rolled into care plans. So like you mentioned, having that very reasonable intro treatment offer is very valuable. And that's so interesting to hear that if you offer it for free, people don't assign value to it. So they're hesitant to come in. But if you give them like $49 okay, that's doable. And I understand this is going to cost something. So, okay, yeah, I can do that. It's an interesting kind of marketing thought experiment. So when did you go to a group training or did you go to a group training?
Yeah, I did go to a group training. I think I went to it in the beginning of June. I went to the to Fargo,
Mhm.
um, and I went to that group training. I think it was in beginning of June when I got it. So I got it like in the almost middle of May is when I got the device last year,
Yeah.
and then after about 3-ish weeks or so, that's when I was able to go into one of the trainings.
Got it. For anybody that doesn't know, when you become a StemWave provider or you're even interested in it, we have you go to these group trainings, and it's basically an environment where you get trained on how to use a device, you get education on the science behind it, and you're in a setting with other providers, all different types. You could be with MDs, PTs, Chiro, it doesn't matter. It's a room full of your peers, and you all get to try it out on each other and on yourselves. Uh, Scott, unfortunately, when you did your group training, I guess Fargo was the closest one, but
Mhm.
now we have group trainings all across the country. So, Scott, you're in California. We have one in SoCal now. We have one in Arizona now. We have 'em on the East Coast. So wherever anybody lives, we have coverage for group training because it's not going to be such a crazy far commute for them. What was it like at your group training?
It was really relaxing. And yeah, like you said, there was all walks of life when it comes to practitioners, right? We had pain specialists, MDs, we had chiropractors, assistant chiropractors, we had physical therapists, career people, brand new people, strength and conditioning coaches that deal with these type of injuries sometimes with their athletes. Many different walks of life. It was actually kind of refreshing, to be honest with you, because you had a lot of different perspectives that were going in. And several of the people that were there, at least at mine, had never had tried the device yet. Okay. They just bought it on a whim, try it out for a few months, see if it'll work. And some of them, they hadn't even opened it yet when they came in and they had never done anything. And one person in particular, he had multiple knee surgeries. I can't remember exactly how many, but significant. And he just re-injured his knee. And the doctor told him that he needed a complete replacement. There's nothing that we can do to help you out. And so during this training, we got to experience what it would be like from an experienced professional practitioner to actually administer the treatment with this tool. And obviously, he jumped up at the first chance and went down there. And he could, they tested it out, seeing if he could do a squat, what that looked like, what that felt like, see if you can take a knee to the ground, get back up. What did that feel like? And then he lay down and they just did simple treatment, like 400 or 500 waves just on the knee, right? Not even a thorough anything. And the results of him being able to squat from the beginning to just 20 seconds later was just mind-boggling. He was floored. He couldn't believe that he could squat. Now he couldn't kneel down and get back up comfortably, but he could do it a little bit better than he did before, right? So I tell people it's not a miracle. It's not going to all of a sudden boom make you 100% better, but it's going to dramatically heal whatever problem there is, and speed it up way faster than if you just did it on your own or any other treatments. In
Yeah.
my experience.
I love those stories, especially group training where you have these aren't like patients, these are like other medical professionals, and they get to experience the results for the first time. And you're right. The immediate effect is that reduction in pain, increased range of motion. I like to think of it like if somebody's got something going on where they feel restricted, it's that restriction gets lifted. So he was able to squat and he didn't feel like resistance anymore. But it's regenerative. So
Hmm.
like the real repair and healing happens over time, and that's where the care plans come in. But that pain relief right off the bat, that's like the magic wand, and it is like a magic wand for a lot of people.
Hmm.
um so that's super cool that you got to see in person like a reaction like that. And then the group training, you went back, now you're trained on the device. How did you start implementing it into your like daily routine in your practice?
Yeah, so I started out kind of slow with it, in my opinion, but I guess I was a little bit faster than some people, according to my advisor. Um, so basically, the first month, I just went nuts on treating myself, treating family members, friends, just anyone and everyone that I could just come in and just try this thing out. Made a lot of mistakes, you know, and just learned, right? Um, then once I felt kind of comfortable with it, after about a month, I started implementing it to just trusted clients that are kind of like on a maintenance plan with me that I'm working with, and just, hey, I got this new thing. Would you be interested in just trying it out? I'll first treatment, I'll just, at the time I was just doing it for free. Now first treatment I'm still charging that, $49 fee or something like that. But at that time it was just for free, and so I would treat them, and I would say about 80% wanted to continue. And I would say half of my maintenance clients almost really didn't want to do the other services that I was providing and wanted to do the STEM wave instead, which fine, saves me time and everything. So I started doing that. Um, and then after that, I started feeling more comfortable of trying to like just promote it to new patients after about a month of doing that. And yeah, once I started figuring out how to sell appropriately to new patients, the technology, um, or the device, it just rocket shipped my business, and things grew dramatically from there.
Wow. Yeah, you said that you had some patients that just wanted to do StemWave solely. We actually have some providers that StemWave has been so good for them that they've either transitioned their practice to StemWave only, or they've opened up like a separate StemWave only side of their company, and they have like an office that's purely StemWave. So that's obviously like a huge endorsement for how effective this is. You spoke earlier about some really great results that you saw. As you started rolling StemWave into your practice and treating your patients, do you have any other stories of some pretty significant results that you were able to see?
The first one that pops into my mind is it was actually a younger guy. He was in his early 30s. Um, I'm in the Silicon Valley. He works for Lucid, and he had this huge chronic knee issue. Both knees were just chronically aching and doing horrible. And he it hurt to walk. It was extremely painful for him to step down, step up. Everything was bad. And so he came in for his trial. I did kind of like what you guys taught us at the group. um, education format, and had him do some squats, had him do some different things like that just to test and see how the knee felt at that time. And then we treated a knee, and his reaction was just priceless. He was so giddy with excitement about how good he felt after just that one experience. It was pretty awesome. And so then over the course of a couple of months, maybe 6 or 8 treatments, he was perfectly fine, and I haven't seen him since. A more recent one is this gentleman who is 100% bone on bone, both knees, osteoarthritic, no cartilage, verified imaging, constant nerve pain, experience. So I told him, yeah, we can help. It's going to take some kind of like maintenance level for us to be able to help you, but we can help you, and we'll see. And so I did the first treatment. He had a great experience, worked very well for him. Same kind of thing. He just was giddy about how good he felt. And then, I've learned that I tell people that we need to be kind of aggressive with this situation, right? We need to come in like twice a week. It's probably gonna be like 2 or 3 weeks at least to really, make this start to last. And so we started doing that. He came for a second treatment. He could feel it starting to wear off a little bit, but we worked it again, and he felt good. And then when he came for his third treatment, he was completely pain free. And
Wow.
he's like, my muscles are they feel sore. I'm like, well, you're using them now. And, he's like, well, that makes sense, I'm he's still on my treatment protocol and we're progressing him out, but in less than 2 weeks, we were starting the process of pushing out his appointments and him seeing some significant progress, and he's 100% bone on bone.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible. I mean, we hear from a lot of providers that are, just starting out with StemWave, or even ones that, maybe on this call that are curious about StemWave. One of the big things we always hear is like, does it work for bone on bone? That's a real big one because I know a lot of patients come in with that and it's very hard to deal with, and it's very hard to get people better with that and pain-free with that. So, for anybody that's curious about bone on bone, listen to Scott. It works for bone on bone very well. Um, One of the other things I want to touch on is, unlike a lot of other medical devices, we don't just drop the device off at your clinic and then you never hear from us again. When you become a StemWave provider, you get your own client success manager that walks you through the onboarding process, is there for you with any questions you have about how to implement the device, if you need anything. What has your experience been with dealing with like the client success side of our team?
Alicia's been one of my like best friends, especially in the beginning. Okay. Um, 100% always there. She kind of blew my mind a few times because she actually emailed me back over the weekend. I emailed her something Friday night, something that came up, and I wanted to get it out there. I wasn't expecting to hear from her until like Monday or Tuesday next week, and she responded on Saturday, you know. So I mean, um, any issues that come up, she's just right there. Like I I had like small issue with just a glitch that had happened with the system, and nothing with the stem wave or anything like that, just with the website stuff. And she took care of it and got the support team to help me, and then helped me, work with the support team whenever anything happened, and things get resolved very quickly. And a delay from you guys when I reach out to the support team is like 15 minutes. That's like my delay. Obviously, I want things done, as fast as possible, but the reality is it's you guys got a lot of people that you're working with, and so I know it takes time. So my experience has been very positive when it comes to dealing with the service and with the support staff.
That's great to hear. Yeah, Alicia is amazing. Our whole client success team is amazing. Our whole team in the company is fantastic, and it's something that we really, pride ourselves on. We really want people to know that when you become a StemWave provider, you're not just getting a device; you're getting a community as well. And for those who may not know, we use an online platform called School, where we have message boards, where we have, clinical results, where people can share their wins. We do coaching calls. There's so much support when you become a StemWave provider that no one should ever feel lost. No one should ever really feel like they're not having questions answered. It's all there. It's all provided for you. And, one of the things I definitely want to touch on with you, Scott, is we offer that marketing support too. We help with helping you figure out how to tell your patients that you have StemWave and get those leads and get patients in the door and get them rolled into care plans. So, can you talk a little bit about your journey with StemWave and the marketing side that we've been helping you with?
Sure. So when we started to do the marketing, everything was focused for in-house, current clientele, and then uh, just in the close proximity. So I got this marketing kit where it gave me a big old floor banner and things I could put up on the window, things like that. That's how it kind of started, and it helped. Like people just wanted to come in and just learn about this new technology. I'd never heard of this before, right? And so that was helpful. Then I got tons of guidance on how to. So I have a lot of different business relationships with other health and wellness providers, and so they were really encouraging and giving me, scripts and slides that I could edit and change for myself specifically, to help me present these to those. Uh, the issue, I didn't really do any of those parts personally because I also at the same time started doing the Facebook, Instagram marketing that you guys also provide. And while I was trying to roll out and do everything all at the exact same time, about a month or so into it, uh, when we made some tweaks and everything, that kind of blew things up for me when it came to generating new leads. What's been really cool is that in April of, so that started in August last year when we started doing the social media advertising. And I started kind of low cost, low pricing. I think I was doing, I don't know, like 20 or $30 a day in ads. But then as I started seeing the success and we figuring out what worked, I ended up increasing it to $60 a day. And I read that if I wanted to like grow, I needed to spend about $100 a day is what I learned that I needed to do. Well, the marketing on those social media platforms has been so good. I can't handle more than $60 a day. I personally physically just can't do it. Okay. Um, but in what was really kind of interesting was in April, the team noticed a slowdown in my lead generation. I didn't reach out to them at all. And they made a change. They updated my videos and just reprogrammed things. And then within 10 days, boom, everything just went right back up to where it was. So the marketing has been awesome. And it's been so significant because the things that I learned from you guys when it comes on generating new clients, getting new business, and I've transitioned that into the rest of my practice. And so my total practice revenue is up about 40% before I had you guys, come in.
Wow.
So I'm generating 40% more revenue. So I'm right now just a solo practitioner. It's just me, myself, and I, and I am maxed out. And but my business is successful enough right now that I'm looking at making a dramatic expansion, and I'm hoping to do that this summer.
Wow, that's very exciting. And wow, that's so great to hear you're doing so well with the marketing. It's really something that, we want to make sure people understand. We want you guys to be successful. There's a lot of other medical device companies that, like I said before, just you buy the device, it gets dropped off, and you never hear from them again. But we are with you every step of the way, giving you all the support. Like I said, we have these weekly coaching calls for any questions, the marketing support. It's fantastic that you're doing so well with that and very exciting about the expansion. What I'd like to do now, we already have some people in the chat doing this, but if anybody has any questions for Scott or for myself about StemWave, his experience, throw them in the chat right now. We do have a question right here about how much time do you typically spend with the initial meeting? Is it different than the mapping visit?
So for me, when they come into the very first visit, I do the mapping and everything kind of like right away. So they come in, they give me their life story, their health history. I found out everything about what's going on. And typically I try to do that entire first appointment with the mapping. I get usually done around 30 minutes. Truth be told, it probably bleeds over into like 40, 45 minutes. But that's about as much time as I spend with them on the very first treatment, first appointment.
And then once you have someone coming back just for treatments only, how long does the treatment usually last?
Treatment itself is pretty quick. Okay. It's usually 10, 15 minutes to do the treatment. But in the beginning, there's always a lot of questions still. And so you need to kind of like educate and teach. And so I spend maybe about 25 minutes total time with the person in the very beginning. And that lasts for about 4 appointments where it's like that, four, maybe five. But by then, they're feeling a lot better and there's no questions. Just come in, get out, or do the treatment and just get out and on with the rest of their life.
Yeah. Come in, get the treatment, dance your way out of here because you're feeling so much better, which we've actually heard. We've heard of patients coming in limping or with a cane and then literally dancing out the front door after the treatment. It's pretty wild. I know something that a lot of people have a concern about is, oh, this seems like a very complicated device. Um, even setting it up. Can you talk a little bit about like when you unbox your device and even having it set up and then the ease of use after you got your group training?
Yeah, sure. Getting my device was actually pretty great. You guys use special packaging providing system, and the individual that brought the device to me was just awesome. He took it off the truck, brought it into my building, walked it, I don't know, about 75 feet from where I wanted it to be, and then he did most of the like lifting and getting things out of the way so that I could just have it from there. Then, you guys provided some educational videos on the unboxing, and you warned me have power screws and tools like that to be able to help out with it. And I think it wasn't complicated at all. It was very simple. It was very easy. I think it took me, I don't know, 10 minutes to get it out of the box in total and getting the wasted product out of the office. And yeah, it was quite simple. It was very easy. Setup was very simple. It was very easy. Um, we always make things more complicated in our head than what the reality is. So it's no big deal. If you know how to read, you'll know how to put together this device.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that need to be screwed in. The
Mhm.
cable needs to be screwed in, and then the
Yeah, and that's a simple thing. It's no big deal.
yeah, and then ease of use with actually like performing a treatment. Um, it's not anything that is super complicated. Once you're trained up, you understand the energy levels. I'm sure it's for you going to group training, you were like, oh, this is actually pretty straightforward.
Yeah, no, when I first was doing it, I I can accept the fact that I'm a typical guy and I don't like directions, right? So I started using it and and had some challenges, and then okay, getting to watch these videos to kind of like figure this all out. And so I watch all the different videos and I had a really good understanding. But then when I went to the training though, that was where the magical sauce kind of like got sprinkled on, because it's very obvious and it's very simple, but like I said, we like to make things more complicated than what it really is. And so when I saw that and saw these amazing results from all the different people getting treated, it's like, oh, that's all I have to do. Okay, it's great.
Yep.
And then I got to do it to somebody. I was working with a pain doctor who specialized in PRP, treated his wrist, and I do the simple little treatment, did like 400 or 500 waves or something like that, and then afterwards I'm like, okay, so how do you feel? He's like, it feels like 30 or 40% better. Great, awesome.
Job
There you
well
go.
done. Yeah.
So yeah, so just simply do the mapping of what it is that you guys describe and what to do, and it's simple. We like to think it as humans.
Yeah. That's why I always call it a magic wand because it's
Mm.
it's so simple to use and then the results it's kind of like magic. Just like that guy said, wow, it feels 30 to 40% better like first time. We got a question here about you mentioned when you first got the device and you were using it on your family and friends that you made a bunch of mistakes in the beginning. What were those mistakes and how did that affect your family?
So they still love me. No, the mistakes that I was doing is just I was like maybe doing too many waves. Okay, I was putting in more waves than what I should have. I was exploring with the energy levels and going either too low or too high. I didn't have a full grasp of what the recommended energy levels for the specific joint areas were. And then, like, hey, if it's so good, if we do it where there's all this meat tissue, well, what happens if we do it when there's no meat tissue and we're directly onto the bone? Well, just to let you know, that doesn't feel good. So, follow the protocol is what I learned.
Yeah, and
So,
we do have protocols for every body part. When you do the group training, you get a booklet. It's got protocols in there. It's got some instructions on, maintenance and care, all the information you need. Again, this just rolls into the general idea that we really provide you with support like all around. But yeah, I think there are a lot of providers that are very excited even before they get to group training just to play with the device. It is good to know as a general rule because I've been to a lot of the group trainings. I've worked with our lead clinical advisor, Dr. Madison. um, Lower energy is better than high energy. This is not a case of, try to make people feel pain because no pain, no gain. That is not the case here. It's about regeneration, it's about healing. So it's always better to err on the side of low energy and more waves than higher energy, less waves. And we've seen that time and time again. And then, we talked a little bit about the support and the community. I touched a little bit on like the coaching calls. Were you ever involved? Like, have you been going to the coaching calls? Like, have you made that a part of your process as being a StemWave provider?
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do like the live coaching calls, but I've watched the recorded coaching calls. And that was really helpful in the very beginning. Just the time difference of when they were going on when I first got it was just made it difficult. I always had appointments and clients that I was working with at those live times, and so I just made it a priority to make sure I got on the recorded versions, and it helped out a lot to just understand the step-by-step process. I mean, you get that when you go to the training, right, on how to do everything step by step, but it just, to it's like reading the book before you go into class to learn about the lesson, right? So I'm able to learn about everything that we're supposed to do, and then when you get it in person, it kind of just sinks in a little bit easier and better.
Yeah, and that's great. And for anybody that wants to hear it again, we record everything. Everything's accessible through that platform school. Any coaching calls that you couldn't be there live, even this call, this is going to be available to people who weren't able to show up live to this. Um, Great resource for people. Other providers are going to be on these coaching calls, and they're going to bring up things that they noticed when they're treating their patients that maybe you never even thought about. And we'll have one of our clinical advisors on the call too to kind of help navigate that. But those are, some of the things that we really pride ourselves on is offering that full support. So right now, oh,
Can I interrupt
yeah,
you real quick?
for sure.
What's been really helpful is through the school system. There's a huge discussion portion, right? There's like the forum discussion area, and going in there has been really helpful because I might have a question, and I've learned that if I just do a quick search on there, that most of the time someone else has had that question, and uh, you guys answer it, and answer that question, whether it's with the device or whether it's with particular patients and some certain conditions that I don't know. Will this help? Will the STEM wave help with this, issue that I'm seeing? And most of the time, there's someone that's had that same situation. And then if they didn't, and I don't see anything about that, I just post the question up, and usually in less than 24 hours, there's a response, and the medical advisors are answering those questions. And then sometimes they have more questions that they need to ask. I had this one patient that came in. It was actually a teenage girl, a competitive volleyball player, and she had a whole arm issue. Um, she was having tremors. Okay, her entire arm was just in tremors. There was no accident, there was no injury that happened. All of a sudden, it just was having these crazy tremors. She went to the doctor. They did MRIs, they did blood tests, they did CAT scans, they checked out her brain, they checked out everything, and they had no answer. And so one of my clients told him about me and said, he's got this new thing, you know, try it might be able to help. So I got they contacted me and gave me the information before coming in. And so I took that information, I posted it to the group, and I got, I think, almost every medical consultant to advise on what it is I should do in that situation. And we don't know what was going on, but 3 treatments later, she had no shaking arm anymore. And she went back to volleyball, and according to her and according to her parents and her coach, she was stronger playing,
Wow.
So
Generative. Yeah, that's amazing.
yeah, we have no idea what the issue was, but it helped. And no one could understand what was going on.
Magic wand. Scott, we got a question here about suggestions on introduction of StemWave on the practice website. I know on your website you have a
Mhm.
section that talks about StemWave. Maybe you can give some insight on how you figured out how to do that, or the thought behind doing that.
Well, what's really great is that you guys provided a lot of the information that's out there. That I uploaded. I wrote it in my own words, but you provided me with like a lot of that information. So all I simply did is just added to my service section of what it is that I provide. From my understanding, the marketplace calls it, shockwave. And so I decided that that's how I wanted to promote it. And then once they got into that section, I then started talking about StemWave and what makes it special, and things like that. And so it's pretty easy. All that information with when it comes to marketing, this has been like with a device or hiring a coach to help me start a new service. This has been the best experience I've had when it comes to like marketing. Um, it's been great. Like I want to hire you guys to do everything else with my marketing, but you're like, yeah, we can't do that yet, or we can't do that. So
That's awesome. Well, we're so thrilled that you've had such great success with StemWave and the results with your patients. I know you got to run, so I just want to say this to kind of close it out. Um, Whoever's been listening and you're interested in StemWave, if you want to get results like Scott's been talking about with his patients, if you want a non-invasive new modality that's regenerative to bring into your practice, all you got to do, I'm putting it in the chat right now. Let's go to stemwave.com. You can book a call with our team. Scott talked earlier about his call when he first called our team. It's super conversational. We just want to see if it's a good fit. And like I mentioned before, we don't work with everybody, but we have a 98% success rate. And that's for a reason because we're very good at what we do. The device is incredible and we support you the entire time. So feel free, go to stemwave.com, book a call with our team, see if it's right for you. And then hopefully in the future, we'll be doing a call with you, just like we're doing with Scott.
can I say something real
Of
quick?
course.
I see something in the chat about the financial, aspect of this of everything. Um, I before we got on this call, I just did a quick, I just went to my POS system to just see the financials of what was going on. Okay. So far, just this year to date, let me look at this real quick. So far, year to date, um, so I've generated over $68,000 in revenue just with the StemWave device alone. Okay. And then I didn't start really pushing the product until under less than 10 months ago when it comes to doing sales. And in the 9.8 months that I've had a device, I've done a total of $160,598 in complete sales just on the StemWave device itself. So I've tripled my initial cost, and that's just from following your guys' advice and letting the device sell itself. Okay. I told my wife, I don't care if it works or not. That's my attitude. Like my attitude is it either works or it doesn't. Let's try it out. You tell me, did it help you? If it did, then let's continue. And with that attitude of just doing that, it's just, I mean, in 9 months, in less than 10 months, I have an extra $170,000 coming into my account. And that's what's allowing me to be able to make this big expansion that that I'm going to be doing in the next couple of months.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing more anyone needs to say. That's incredible. The numbers speak for themselves. Again, just to reiterate, we're doing a 90-day trial now. So, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer at this point. We're going to give you 90 days to see if you like it. And if you believe Scott, because he's putting those numbers out there, it's well worth it. So, Scott, I know you got to run. I really appreciate you hopping on and talking with us. You gave such valuable information about your story with StemWave and your results. Wish you all the best and can't wait to check back in once the expansion's going good and see how you're doing with StemWave at that point.
Perfect. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys' time.
Great. All right. Thanks, Scott. Bye, everyone.